is Getting Answers, Western Mass News.
Good Sunday morning. Hope you're having a good weekend. Belated happy Valentine's to everyone, too. Welcome to Getting Answers, where each and every week we focus on issues and events in Western Massachusetts with the newsmakers and people who are making a difference. I'm joined this week by Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe, who began his third term as mayor in January. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. And happy belated Valentine's Day to you and yours.
There we go. Hope it was good for everyone.
There you go.
So, Mike, I mean, we begin a new fiscal year coming up in July and the start of your third term. And as you know, and you've seen it, I'm sure you've talked to the leaders around here, many communities in Western Massachusetts are battling to stay afloat. The city of Westfield's recent financial performances saw a surplus in the 2025 budget after maintaining that AA bond rating. It sounds like Westfield's on good financial ground.
We are. We're in pretty good shape. You know, we've talked about really kind of how we should kind of set the tone for what tax rates should look like moving forward. We should kind of set a rate and go with it and see how it plays out for a while, because bouncing back and forth on the tax rate isn't really good financially in the long run. So we're making some adjustments there. We did get free cash allocation of about $13.5 million. But when you look at that $13.5 million, you have to really understand what's in behind it. So of that $13.5 million, the benchmark is about $8.2 million. So really the money that you're playing with is only about $5 million. And of that $5 million, there was already $3.6 million of that already committed to very specific funding project sources. Yep. So now you're down to $2 million. So, I mean, you know, it looks like it's a lot of money. As it turns out, it really isn't a lot of money, but we're going to manage. We're going to be okay.
Well, everything, and the governor proposing a 4.5% increase in local aid and 3.2% in Chapter 70 education funds. Is this enough, or do you think the state's got to do more to help out?
It's not close to enough. Yeah. I was with the Legislative Governor's Advisory Council, of which I was a presenter last week, or actually earlier this week, and I was at a Get Stuff Done a week before with the Lieutenant Governor, and you know, it's easy to kind of play with some statistics, right? So when you look at the 4.4% increase, that includes the money that was increased already in Chapter 90. So is that an increase? I don't really know if that's an increase, right? There's a $900,000 increase in Chapter 70, which is our school funding. But yet we're still not to the point where we fully fund what our mandates are supposed to be. Now, I got to give the governor credit here. In our transportation services, in our circuit breaker services, we were getting 44% return on our investment. Well, we're now getting 75% return on our investment, but the promise was 100%. So we're still, you know, we're still kind of footing the bill there. We're facing real issues with out-of-district placements. So if we're not able to handle a certain diagnosis, I guess. If we're not able to handle a certain diagnosis with a child, we need to place those childs in out-of-district school settings so that they, you know, they can survive and thrive and, sure, and get better. That looks like it's going to be an additional $900,000 to the city of Westfield this year. So the increase of $900,000 is completely negated by the out-of-district placements over and above cost. So we're working to try to figure all that stuff out. Chapter 90 looks like it's going to continue to be a 100% increase over 2024's number, which is really big to us because they came up with two different formulas. One was the usual formula that they always had, and then there was this other formula that talked about road miles. And in Westfield, if you have 251 miles road, we really want to talk about road miles, yeah, as opposed to, you know, population and number of trips and stuff like that.
Sure. You know, and you see it, cities and towns, they're facing, and I've heard this, it's a perfect storm of fiscal pressures, rapidly rising costs for education, employment and health insurance, public safety, school choice and things like that too, coupled with stagnant state aid and a 2.5% cap on property tax increases. It sounds like it's just getting tougher and tougher for all communities.
Because our growth hasn't matched inflation. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So say your inflation rate is, I don't want to get into crazy numbers, but say your inflation rate is 2.5%. Now, economists will tell you that an inflation rate of 1% or 1.5% is actually good to keep driving the economy forward. So,
Sure.
right? So 2.5% really isn't a crazy number. But 2.5% for us represents $2.2 million in the city of Westfield. That's kind of what the number is. But the inflationary rate isn't always 2.5%. Under, I don't want to be political, so during recent administrations, it was as high as 9%. Well, the state's help to the cities and towns in terms of their growth was only 0.6%. So the delta of those numbers, 9% and 0.6%, is huge. It's very, very big. So that has to, if you're going to provide the same level of services, be gotten somewhere.
Sure.
So that's why you see the rise in fees, you see the rise in taxes, you see the rise in the efforts to sustain new growth, which has been difficult for us in the city of Westfield, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I think especially insurance. I mean, we've heard it with the Hampshire County Insurance Trust and issues with GIC. The governor's asking for more input on that as far as more premium payment by the people who are. That is one of the biggest costs associated, whether it's school or municipal or whatever else.
So I just got an email from somebody asking me if I've looked into GIC. And the answer is yes, of course I've looked into GIC. I mean, I'm in my 5th year of doing this, right? There's some things you look into just by the nature of things. And we're self-insured. And the movement to push everybody to GIC from the state level, quite frankly, this is from the executive office level, isn't really appealing to the city of Westfield. As you saw in Hampshire and you saw out east, they had to do bailouts for these folks. Well, do I risk not having insured in my city? I don't know that I want to do that just yet. So you bring up a great point. Last year's increase to the city of Westfield was $4.6 million that we had to find in the budget on an already existing shoestring budget as it moved forward. So this isn't a matter of the anti-tax people, right? And I get it. Nobody wants to pay more taxes, or like there's fat everywhere. I'm like, I don't know. When you take a look at how you pare down budgets, and it usually goes year over year, something like this, or at least it's worked this way in the past 4 years that I have been the CEO. When I ask for a new budget from a department for a New Year's budget, I ask the New Year's budget to be zero-based and include any contractual allowances that we have, any contractual obligations that we need to meet. So that really kind of means that the only way for us to balance a budget is to reduce expense, because the only contractual obligations are on the personnel side. So it creates this imbalance, and that's why you see budgets that have 85% personnel costs and 15% all other type costs. So that means you really need to figure out ways to bring in new economic development into your community, because that's new money that can be used to offset these growing costs. So I'm going to try to do that in this budget. I'm seeking to get an economic development coordinator to assist the city in trying to develop ways, either through marketing or through real estate or through out knocking on doors kind of things, to make Westfield a little bit more attractive.
With these increases, especially with the health insurance, I mean, is it possible to maintain? I mean, when you look at this being self-insured, I know with the Hampshire Insurance Trust, they were saying, well, it's these weight loss drugs and everything else, and the rising costs of that. It's not going to go down anytime soon. So
I think I can talk about this. So if I can't, well, I guess I'm going to get in trouble. The projected cost increase in healthcare for the city of Westfield is somewhere between 10 and 13%. Last year was 36%.
Wow.
And the reason I think that the cost is projected at 13% is the dropping of GLP programs. So the diet subsidy programs. But I'm not convinced that those are going to just stay dropped. There are people who need them for other reasons. However, this market has now produced something I think that's actually might even turn out to be beneficial, where it's possible to get GLP-1s privately. And maybe that drives down cost, maybe it doesn't drive down cost. The reason why the GLP companies say that the cost is so high is because they're still doing R&D. Now, that frightens me. You watch people go through significant weight loss, but they're still doing R&D on weight loss products, which tells me that they don't know what the long-term effect is.
Yeah, anything.
And
almost too good to be true.
I'm like, I have people that are pretty close to me, and I kind of flippantly say, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Rather than put yourself on a medication that you might be on for life, and it's a slippery slope for me.
All right, we can take a break. When we come back, Mayor McCabe and I are going to talk about business and infrastructure improvements in Westfield. Back with Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe. Mr. Mayor, there's a lot going on in Westfield. I want to focus on some of the ongoing projects. I go through Westfield a lot, and I see a lot what's going on. The Cowles Bridge replacement project on routes 10 and 202, where's that stand?
Almost. It's 99.9% done. I'm waiting on a tail wing for an F-15 to be installed in the superstructure of where the pocket park is. Okay. So, it's a nice homage to the 104th and the folks, veterans in the city, and so we're waiting on that.
So this close?
It's really that close. Our athletic fields are. People have commented over and over and over again how Mountain View just keeps working through everything. And let's face it, it's been 0 degrees. It's, we've had a couple feet of snow. Yeah. We got, I think, 22 inches of snow. Nick Morganelli tells me it's 16, but he's a smarter dude in meteorology than I do. But I like my 21, so we're staying with 21. There have been things that have been kind of hampering it, but they've been working through. So all of the school upgraded projects will be done by August of 2026, which means it'll be being played on in the fall of this coming year, which is super exciting.
Nice to see.
There's the Community Action. Pioneer Valley is building a brand new school. That's up on the corner of Falcon Drive and Southampton Road. Mm-hmm. So it looks like Southampton Road. I know that you come back and forth from Southampton. It looks like there's all kinds of stuff going on Southampton Road. Well, there is. Yeah. Some of it's base related, some of it's transportation related, and some of it's school base related. There's a project on the other side of the street that's being renovated or built for a local construction company. Further down as you come towards the city, the Peanut Roundabout is being discussed. There's a public forum on that on February 25th. And it's basically more of a hearing rather than well, what if, I think it's just more of a hearing. And that's so that the Guard can safely get in and out of their new entrance, okay, which had to have been built because the new Department of Defense protocols calls for a longer egress onto a military installation property. Okay. So Falcon Drive didn't fit the bill anymore. And it's going to fix a long-standing problem that we've had. And I know that you're aware of it because you drive through it. The left-hand turn for trucks from Southampton Road to turn onto Service Star is always dangerous. I don't know why it's always dangerous, but it's always dangerous. And you assume that you could see the truck. Who knows?
Who knows? You're right, exactly.
But, and I'm not being disrespectful to the people who have gotten into accidents there, but there are a number of accidents there. And the problem for us is the two intersections are 150 feet apart. Yeah. So it's silly. It's a waste of money to put in two sets of lights, and people would go crazy with two sets of lights. Can you imagine? I wouldn't want to try to withstand that storm. So the Peanut Roundabout and roundabouts in general are really in vogue because they work, though.
Keeps the flow moving, but slows it down. Yeah.
Keeps the flow moving, slows it down. You don't have T-bone crashes, and hopefully we can get it done.
Well, I mean, a big part of that too is the reimagining and redesign of the Mass Pike exit too.
So that's coming too. Again, part of the reason why I am in Boston so much is so that I can have meaningful conversations with people who have their hands on the lever. I have an upcoming meeting with Secretary Phil Eng of Transportation shortly. He's a native New Yorker. So we're going to have a nice cup of coffee. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it and see how all that works out. They have agreed to do all the design and pay for the entire project. That has a couple of roundabouts in it as well. As you know, that there's an intersection at Holyoke Road and North Elm Street that is particularly difficult, let alone the jam up of traffic that comes in and off the pike. So
now, will that also take care of what's going on with that vacant Friendly's property, too?
yes, so there's a proposal, another proposal that I think just passed through, got permitted for a gas station truck stop renovation.
Because Pride was originally going to go in there.
Yes,
right?
and Pride sold their portion of the rights to another company, and they're going to put in EV charging stations, diesel stations, and regular gasoline stations, along with some type of food mini mart kind of thing. But we gave them the green light with the promise that they didn't get into the footprint of the roundabout, so they were pretty good with that.
And the new police department headquarters on Union Street.
Police department, the design phase will end, I think, next week. Most of all of the design is done. There's a couple of nuts and bolts infrastructure pieces that still have to be figured out, but they're minor. They won't slow down the project at all. And we hope to be in the ground this summer and fully constructed by fall of 2027, which is very, very good news. I mean, it's exciting news for us. Yeah. It's time.
All right, we have to take another break.
Sure.
When we come back, Bear and I are going to talk about his priorities and wishes for his third term. Stay with us. Our final segment with Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe. Just a follow-up. You drive by the old digital plant. You're seeing a lot of work being done there. What's going on there?
So Wynn Stanley, who is the owner of the property, is renovating their property to, I think it's getting a $15 million facelift. So when you could drive by at night and you see all the lights on,
nice,
that's really what's going on. And they're trying to make their property more attractive to invite businesses to take advantage of what they have to offer.
And the other thing, too, is the Service Star Realty's vision to establish a data center campus in Westfield. Where does that stand?
So it's in neutral right now.
Yeah.
I have spoken with a principal of Service Star, and I explained to him that there were some hurdles that he was going to have to get over before a shovel would hit the ground. And primarily the biggest hurdle is water consumption. Yeah. They sit in close proximity to and over a portion of the aquifer. There's an anti-data center sentiment that is kind of driving the bus, but they're equating a data center with a battery storage site. Those are not the same technologies. They're just simply not the same technologies. So I've kind of adopted, again, I'll wait and see what the proposal is before we get out the axes and pitchforks and say that this is a bad thing. Opponents are talking about 30 million gallons of water a day. Well, that's what Google uses in Iowa or Indiana or something. This is not that. But again, when I talk to the folks at Service Star, I encourage them to figure out a way to recycle their water.
Yeah.
So have a self-contained unit with a chiller system, recycle the water, and that's kind of what they went back to the drawing board to do. So it's not dead. And we're just going to kind of wait and see what becomes of it.
Potential for a lot of new jobs, too.
There is. I don't know if it's 400, but there's clearly potential of new jobs.
Upsides on that. What are your priorities and wishes as you begin this third term?
Well, I'd love to see Exit 41 on paper, ready to go, moving forward. There are real accessibility issues in terms of what makes Westfield so attractive. There have been plans for years to, I don't even want to say this out loud because I'll get run out of office, but there have been plans for years to try to figure out what to do in the downtown corridor. Yeah. And, I'm a kind of go big or go home guy, so I'm toying with the idea of entering into agreements to look at one-way traffic in terms of the Elm Street corridor from where Franklin Street is into the green. I'm sorry, one-lane traffic.
Well, there's so much potential down there.
Yes. So you've got a northbound lane and a southbound lane that runs through part of it, and then it opens up into 4 lanes, and then it constricts back down to wherever it's going. So if you're really going to have a downtown thriving economic, business, cultural center, then you need to figure out a way to simply slow down traffic. Because you have to make it safe for pedestrians to want to be there.
Sure.
You have to make it safe for cars and visitors to want to park there and be able to safely get out of their cars and move on to whatever cafe or eatery or park that they want to go to, or cottage business.
Few things down there. We're out of time.
Sounds great.
Always good to see you.
It is my pleasure.
Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe, my guest this week on Getting Answers. My thanks to him. My thanks to you for watching. I'm Dave Mattson. We'll see you next week. Have a good week.
Thank you very much.